Meow-troidvania.
Gato Roboto is a new indie Metroidvania that's just dropped on the Switch eShop and I think Steam. It comes in at less than a tenner. I think it's about £7. It's on offer at the minute, bringing that down even more. It's really dirt cheap. It's short but sweet, very sweet. And I feel that's to the game's benefit, is that it doesn't cost so much for such a short experience. You still end up feeling like you got your money's worth, which is not something I can say about a lot of indie games that come out these days. So basically the premise is you play this cat Kiki who's trying to help your boy George, who is trapped and stuck on a spaceship that you both crash landed into random planet or space base or whatever. It's a lot like Metroid Fusion in that you have a central hub and you just go to, you take the elevator down to various little biome areas where you can explore the abilities that you'll gain throughout. It's not too long and that keeps the pace nice and snappy. New ideas are introduced constantly. It's got a very, if you've played Downwell, the aesthetic is borderline identical. Two-tone colors, so everything's either white sprites or black background. And throughout the game, you find these cartridges that allow you to mix up that color scheme. There's like a Virtual Boy one, there's a Commodore 64 one, a Matrix style one that looks, kind of reminds me of like a calculator screen. They're all cool and actually quite fun to hunt out. There are two abilities as well that are locked behind finding all these cartridges to get all the art styles. And that never really got old. It was always fun finding those, trying them out. Some of them look better than others. I think some of them are a bit too samey, but not a huge issue or complaint against the game, really. The Metroid influence is clear throughout. The main mech suit, there are three of them you'll be going in. One that looks exactly like Samus's armor, just minus a headpiece with a cat head poking out of it. There's a submarine one, and then there's also a third one that's entirely stationary and just situational to the area that you're in. So there'll be these little things that you can go into. I think it's during one of the later game places. The soundtrack as well is, again, this game really feels more like a parody of Metroid. Not so much directly in the plot or anything, but definitely in terms of the gameplay. It feels like someone's taken a bunch of juicy Metroid Samus-shaped oranges and just juice them. Where it would take you a good 20 or so hours to chew through all those oranges, you can just chug this juice back of Meow-troidvania. In about 3.5 hours it took me to beat. The soundtrack as well, really good. Even though it's such a cutesy game, it's kept this moody, atmospheric, almost oppressive soundtrack that you'd find in a Metroid game. Very Brinstar depths. And those two tones never betray each other as well. It works. Especially like the last boss theme, I was fucking feeling it, man. It's good. Yeah, personally, I think you should just fucking buy it. It's like the cost of like two coffees. I got my money's worth. I feel satisfied with it, and it ends in a way that it leaves the door open for more, and I would be hella intrigued to come back and play more. But I do worry that I think part of this game's charm is the short length and short price. If they do go the route of a sequel, I hope they don't get overly ambitious. I think they know what they're capable of with this one, and really nailed condensing a whole Metroid-like experience into a short time span without it ever feeling like it's bogged down or without it feeling too short either. It's straddling that line perfectly. And I do worry that I see a lot of indie games will come out with a bigger, better, bolder, more expensive sequel, and part of the charm, for me at least, with an indie game is I don't want to spend too much, and I don't want to play it too long. I just want something that I can enjoy and move on, and this is exactly what this game is. I've been ill this weekend, and it was the perfect pick-me-up. So if you're thinking about getting it, I highly recommend it. Buy that game. One last thing, even though Gato is in the title, there is a disappointing lack of ice cream throughout, 0 out of 10. If you're only buying it for ice cream. It's about cats, not Gato.